Hi, I'm Mark Walters with BigFanboy.com, and I'm sitting here with the very lovely Jodie Foster. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I had a chance to talk to you yesterday, and you were so pleasant and just approachable and fun.
I told you I'm not Jack Nicholson, right?
That's right, you did. You did tell me you're not Jack Nicholson. I actually thought about putting my sunglasses on.
Oh, there you go. Well, I have a really bad viral conjunctivitis, and if I took my glasses off, I'd have to kill you.
You know what?
You'd throw up everywhere. It'd be so gross.
I got to say that I just appreciate you being here, because finding out that you came all the way from Paris.
Yeah,
and
yesterday.
Then you're flying all the way back to do one day of shooting.
Yeah.
Oh
They shut the shoot down because of my eyes. But you know, we love movies, so that's what we do.
You know, I started South by Southwest by seeing Being Elmo, which is all about the puppeteer for Elmo, Kevin Clash.
Okay.
And then I ended my South by Southwest trip by seeing The Beaver, which is, of course, a great movie about, you know, this man that uses a puppet to kind of overcome depression. Yeah. And the interesting parallel there, I think, is that one of the running themes in Being Elmo is that there is really a magic to the puppeteering that, you know, if you don't sell the puppet, if you don't actually sell the personality of the puppet, that it doesn't work. And there's an interesting thing that happens in The Beaver where I found myself looking at the puppet and not at Mel, because it was so convincing.
Well, there's an evolution of where you look during the course of the film that I think we spent a lot of time thinking about. Even the design visually, you know, it's a widescreen film that has anamorphic lenses, so you're able to put two people in the same frame all the time, and you accept it because the frame is so much wider. You also have that wonderful depth of field where I can keep this in focus and this out of focus, and vice versa. So it allows you to always be aware that there's somebody behind the beaver talking, and that in fact it is Mel. It's, you know, Walter. But then as time goes on and the darkness starts taking over and the beaver starts taking over, we were able to isolate the beaver more and more. So there's a real evolution as to where you look and where you see and how you connect to the puppet itself as the film goes on.
Now, I was going back and looking at your credits. The very first thing you ever directed, if I'm not mistaken, is a Tales from the Dark Side episode, right?
It was a co-directing, yeah. My friend Bob Balaban directed it, and I was not DGA, so they brought me in to kind of co-direct it with him so that he could do it, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about editing from him.
Right.
But actually, the first thing I did when I was 13, the BBC gave me some money to do a short subject, and I did a short subject called The Hands of Time, which is really lame. So please don't download it.
So we won't put a link up to that. So,
but then I made, you know, this is my third film and third feature, and I think my films all, you know, I think they all have a theme, which is about the spiritual crisis. And even if it's a 7-year-old boy's spiritual crisis, it's about a time in your life where you have to change and you want to change. Yeah.
Well, it's your first film since 1995, Home for the Holidays, which is, I guess, like 15, 16 years ago. What was it about this particular story that made you say, you know what, now I'm coming back. This is going to be the one I come back with?
You know, I couldn't resist it. I loved it, and sometimes you know why you love something so passionately, and so you become so obsessed with it, and sometimes you don't know why until the film's over.
Right.
So it does fit into a lot of themes that I have, the themes of loneliness and this kind of roller coaster of tragic comedy, this sadness that we, you know, bring throughout our lives, and through this spiritual crisis, we come to understand that we're not alone in it.
Yeah, I think
that's a big theme in all my films.
I think it is a very sort of timely film, because I think a lot of people can relate to the subject matter that's going on in this as well. Everybody, you know, has their own sort of form of depression at some point in their life.
That is true. I mean, Walter's is a chemical depression, obviously veering in the bipolar issue. So of course that's a little bit more dire than most of us. But he's a man who wants to live. You know, he wants to live. He doesn't want to be asleep for the rest of his life. And he has two options. One is to kill himself, and the other is to come up with something. And this is what he comes up with: put a puppet on your hand and speak through it. And in some ways, that saves his life. And then suddenly he has to choose between the survival tool and the people he loves.
The last time you worked with Mel was in '94 with Maverick.
Right.
How was Mel different as an actor, you think, from '94 up until, I guess you shot this in 2009? Like, what would you say? Like, did it seem like he had even grown even more? Because he was always such a phenomenal actor.
He's a great actor. He's a wonderful director. I am, you know, so proud to have a real director like that on set. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
He makes very different films than I do, of course, very epic and bold and you know, grand scale. But he hasn't, you know, his on-set persona hasn't changed. He's the most beloved actor I've ever worked with. I don't think there's anybody more loved than Mel when he's working. He is, I think, able to show his more sensitive and darker side now, whether we like that or not. I think that's, I think he spent a lot of time joking around when he was younger and trying to cover up the fact that he had, you know, more feelings.
Yeah.
And I think once he started directing, I think all of that really started coming out, I think in a very positive way. And as I say, the most beautiful thing, I say this to Mel all the time, the most beautiful thing about you is what you bring, what an artist you are and what you bring on screen. And I just felt so lucky and grateful to have him in that performance.
Yeah. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Direct more films.
Okay, thank you.
I love your films.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that's the end of our
All right, take care.
Pleasure to see you.
Thanks.